Today I'm going to show how to remove the factory catback exhaust system from a 2023 Dodge Charger and install an MBRP dual 3-inch catback exhaust system. The new exhaust will fit a 2015 to 2023 Dodge Charger that is equipped with a 5.7 liter, 6.2 liter, or 6.4 liter V8 engine. The vehicle I'm installing the system on has a 5.7 liter V8 engine. The exhaust system from MBRP comes complete with all hardware required for this installation. I will have a link to the system in the video description below. Before you can install the new exhaust, you'll need to remove the factory catback exhaust. You'll begin by spraying lubricant on all the exhaust bolts and hangers. I started spraying the X-Pipes clamp bolts and worked my way back to the bolts holding the exhaust tips at the rear of the car. As you approach the rear of the car, disconnect the exhaust valve actuator wiring. There's an actuator on both the driver's side pipe and passenger side pipe. After the bolts have been sprayed and the actuators disconnected, move back to the middle of the car and unbolt the two cross braces below the X-pipe. Each brace is held in place by four 13mm bolts. Now that the braces have been removed, loosen the two clamps holding the front of the X-pipe in place. Next, move to the rear of the car and unbolt the two hangers that hold each exhaust tip in place. You'll need to use a 13mm socket with an extension. I would suggest using an impact wrench to remove most of the bolts, especially if you're working with the car on the ground. If you have access to a lift, then removing the bolts with a breaker bar may work fine. The last part is to remove the factory hanger, located behind the mufflers. This is not an easy task. You may want to unbolt the hanger supports instead. I chose to unbolt the hanger supports. Once the hangers have been unbolted, the exhaust system will need to be lifted and the support moved off the small metal lip, helping to hold it in place. Make sure you unclip the actuator wiring before removing the support. There's a support holding both the driver's and passenger side of the exhaust in place. Finally, after the exhaust supports have been removed, you're able to remove the factory exhaust system from the car. Pull back on the exhaust from the rear of the car. I had a second person to help me with this step, which helped greatly. I found I had to use a rubber mallet to tap the exhaust a bit to help the X-pipe separate from the car. With the factory exhaust off the car, you'll need to remove the four rubber hangers and two valve actuators. The actuators will require an 8mm socket or wrench for removal. These will be installed on the new exhaust. Make sure you remember which actuator goes on which side of the exhaust, as they must be installed on the same side of the new exhaust as they were on the factory exhaust. Now you're ready to install the new MBRP catback exhaust system on your car. Begin by installing the proper clamps and adapter pipes onto the catalytic converter. Since the vehicle I'm working on was equipped with a 5.7 liter engine, I needed to use the 2.5-inch clamps and adapters, while the 6.2 and 6.4 liter engines will use the 2.75-inch clamps and adapters. Note that you may need to go back and loosen these clamps after the X-pipe and other components have been installed to ensure a proper fit. This goes for the system as a whole. I found I needed to make adjustments after the system was fully installed. Install two 3-inch clamps on the end of the X-pipe and slide the X-pipe over the adapter pipes. The side of the X-pipe with a slight curve inward will go on the driver's side. Again, you will not want to completely tighten the clamps at this time. After the X-pipe has been installed, you can reinstall the two factory cross braces. This will help hold the X-pipe in place. Install two 3-inch clamps on the ends of the two connector pipes and slide them onto the X-pipe. Install two more 3-inch clamps on the opposite ends of the connector pipes. Before you install the two axle pipes, you need to install the factory hanger mounts and valve actuators we removed earlier from the factory exhaust. Remember, the actuators must go on the same side of the car that they were removed from. The new exhaust kit comes with new bolts for the actuators. Once the factory parts have been installed on each axle pipe, you can install the axle pipes onto the connector pipes. Bolt the axle hangers back into place and reattach the actuator wiring. Onto the tailpipes. Install the factory tailpipe hangers onto the new tailpipes and place two 3-inch clamps onto the end of each pipe. Slide the tailpipes onto the axle pipes and bolt the hanger brackets back onto the car. Install the exhaust tips loosely. At this point, you will want to check how each pipe is aligned and make adjustments as you tighten each clamp. I found I had to make a few adjustments to the X-pipe and tail pipes to ensure proper fitment. Once you're satisfied with how the pipes are installed, you can adjust and tighten the tips using a 5/16 Allen key. You will want to recheck all your clamps after about 50 miles of driving to make sure all the clamps are still tight. You've successfully installed your new MBRP catback exhaust system. Let's check out what the system sounded like before and after the new system was installed.